Open Your Eyes is brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.
Welcome to Open Your Eyes.
Start your morning right. I am John Palacio.
And I'm Marlene Cuellar, and thank you for joining us this morning.
Yep, we are starting our morning right. It is a lovely Wednesday morning.
That's right. It's hump day.
It is hump day, and we're looking forward to it. The weather is beautiful outside, but the professionals will be telling us exactly what to expect right now.
And we have Francisca Wellington on the line. Good morning.
Good morning, my dear.
How are you today?
I'm good, thanks. How about you?
Not too bad. It's been lovely weather here in Belize City.
Yes, it has been.
And it will continue, right?
Say that again?
Will it continue?
Yes and no.
I was just going to say that's a cautious yes. Tell us what's going to happen.
Okay, for today we'll continue to see mainly fair conditions. We'll see some cloudy spells today and tonight with isolated showers today. Then we'll see a slight increase in shower activity along the coast later tonight.
Okay. All right. So what does that mean for winds?
Yes, the winds will continue to be gusty, 10 to 20 knots with occasional higher gusts. So seas will be moderate to rough, and a small crop caution is still in effect.
And of course, those winds are what are making the days so lovely. I was telling John, it feels like March, but it's not the right direction yet, right?
No, it has to shift a little bit more to the south.
Okay, but we'll take it for now. And what does that mean for our high temperatures?
Okay, along the coast this afternoon, we're going for an 84 Fahrenheit, inland 88, and the Maya Mountain 78. And then overnight temperatures, 78 along the coast, 70 inland, 68 up in the Maya Mountain.
All right. And let's talk about the extended forecast, where you said we'll be seeing a bit more showers.
Yes. What happened is a cold front will enter the Gulf of Mexico, but it will remain further north of us. But it will support backing up of our winds to the east-northeast. And therefore, that will support a slight increase in moisture over area. So I mentioned starting tonight, we'll see a little bit more shower activity along the coast, and that will continue on Thursday and Thursday night.
All right. Well, thank you very much for that update.
Okay, two more things.
Sure.
We have started the forest fire forecast.
Yes.
And what we have to report now is the fire risk, the forest fire risk. And so for the north of the country today, we're going for a moderate fire risk, while over the south it will be low. Okay. And we also have this sargassum situation. And we are seeing minor to moderate impact on beaches, especially in the south during the coming days, as we are noticing that mats are drifting towards our mainland.
So
towards the mainland.
That's an update on those.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. And that's a good reminder that you guys are monitoring more than the weather there at the Met Service.
That's right.
All right. Thank you, Francisca. You have a great day.
Welcome. Thank you.
Well, now you know exactly what the weather is going to be like. Thank you so very much, forecaster Francisca Wellington. She's always on the button. She'll tell you that, hey, if you're in a leeward, yes, but cold front and style, leave it up front.
Not near us.
Not near us.
Getting any effects
But
other than just some showers.
Yeah, some winds as well. So we're looking forward to that. I'll tell you what, every weather we get in this weather is something that I look forward to.
I love
it. You know, like
I'm not with you
like
with that one. You know? Because tomorrow there's a protest planned, and so showers can usually put a bit of a damper on that. But we'll see, because they're saying it's not going to be continuous rains coming in. It may be a shower here or there moving into Thursday, so we'll see what kind of impact that has on tomorrow's protest. Can't forget what's happening across the country, and so we'll see though.
You know, I'm
sometimes,
also,
you know, the weather's unpredictable. It may be a little bit later than first predicted or earlier.
Yeah. I'm also happy that the National Weather Bureau actually now have got a look on forest fire.
Yeah.
So which is a very good thing. And I thought the sarcasm as they had forgotten Belize, but once tourists say, hey, that's where we're going, tourists is there.
Yeah.
So yeah. That's the way it is.
All right. So we're going to keep things moving into our eye opener for this morning, and our eye opener ticket from dailyom.com goes like this. The bond with a best friend is strong even when apart and draws us back in seamlessly when needed. By the time we reach adulthood, many of us have had the good fortune to have at least one best friend. If we have moved around or changed our life situation repeatedly, we may be lucky enough to have had several. The best friend relationship is often our earliest intimate peer relationship, and it can be a source of great warmth and connection throughout our lives. The details of best friendship change as we grow up and grow older, but the heart of it remains the same. Our best friends are a warm refuge in which we feel free to be fully ourselves, to share our deepest secrets, to rest when we're tired, to celebrate when we're happy, a place in which we feel utterly welcome to give and receive that most precious of all gifts, love. We may be on the phone with our best friends every day, or we may not have spoken for a year. Yet we know that our bond will be strong and immediate when we do connect. This bond ties us together even when we are apart and draws us blissfully back into the again refuge of each other's company when our paths bring us together again.
You know, I nearly wanted to say amen after that.
I thought you were going to go, oh.
But, you know, I just so love it. It's so warm. You know, I've got my best friends, and we're from back in the days of PG at 3-4. And up to today's date, we're still best friends. There's Anthony and there's Irving, and these guys, one a PG, one that stays, and these guys are so amazing. And one of the things that we try to do for each other, and I think that this is exactly what a best friend should do, your best friends, is try to keep abreast of exactly how to, go further with things. One of the things that I love about it is that I've got Irvin in the US who is much more exposed. And so there's so many things that we could talk about. The same with Anthony, who has been a part of this and that. So the conversation connects and we all learn from each other. And I think that is the basis of what your best friend is supposed to do, what you're supposed to do for them.
I think it's such an important eye-opener. Here's why. Because as we grow into adulthood, as you find your partner and you have children and you start your own family, a lot of times we tend to think that friendship is less important, but it actually is a very important part of your development. And one of the things that you seek we seek naturally is building connections with people. And you need connections with people who are just your friends, people who, exactly as the eye-opener says, is just your safe place to go to, someone who knows you without all the other external forces, knew you before you were a husband, before you were a dad, and can connect with you on that level. And friendships are all different. I love that it also pointed out that there's some people who stay constantly in contact, and there's some who just have the reconnecting moments every now and again. So it's which one suits you, but don't take it for granted. It is an integral part of your life. And like every other relationship, it takes work and effort.
You are so right. You are so right. And that's one of the things that people take for granted, because it's your best friend. You're not supposed to do as much as you're supposed to while you're in your relationship or your physical relationship with your partner. But at the same time, when you've got your best friends, you need to work on that.
You got to check in. If you haven't checked in on your best friend for a while, don't wait on them. You do it. You never know what they're going through.
Yeah, it doesn't matter where they are. You're always supposed to drop that line and say, hey, what's up, buddy? I'm just checking in on you. It brings that warm feeling of care, friendship, and love.
That's right.
I love it.
Okay.
And while we are finished with the eye-opener for the morning, I'll tell you what, we've got a very interesting morning for you. We've got 3 wonderful segments lined up. As a matter of fact, in the first segment, the leader of the opposition will be in with us to speak on recent scandals and upcoming demonstration for tomorrow, actually. So, all right. So, so that's what we've got lined up for the first segment.
All right, and the second part of our show, we know it's a growing trend. That's why you stream us live on Facebook sometimes.
Yes.
It's called cord cutting. Do you know about it? So a lot of people are kind of just shifting away from traditional ways of watching television and they're streaming instead.
Yeah.
Some of us are up to date with it and some of us need a bit of an education lesson. So that's actually going to be the second part of our show. We have Thomas Gungor coming in and he's going to tell us about your options for streaming services if you want to join the cord cutting group.
You know what? I look forward for that one.
Yeah.
And in our third segment for this morning, definitely looking forward to it again. It is a book review of Dumb Things Parents Say to Their Children. Man, I can't wait.
It's a publication. We'll find out what is behind it when we have the author joining us on set in the final part of our show. But before we take our break, John.
Yep, we want to say a big, big, big happy birthday to Curtis Lewis. Happy birthday to you, Curtis. Coming from all of us here at Channel 5 and all of us right here and Open Your Eyes. Buddy, happy birthday.
That's right. Do enjoy. We'll take that break now. When we come back, we'll be joined by the leader of the opposition to talk about all the national issues ongoing at this time. Stay tuned.
With over 100
And welcome back. We're now moving into our first segment for the morning. In with us, we've got the leader of the opposition, People's United Party, the Honorable John Briceño. Now we're about to venture off into the recent scandals that has hit the United Democratic Party, and of course your upcoming demonstration planned for this coming Sunday. Sir, good morning and welcome.
Somebody's happy and energetic this morning.
Always. We're always happy.
But yes, good morning. Thank you. And I see you mentioned, you pronounced the name Briceño quite well, you know.
The say correct?
Because I believe it's mostly Briceño.
Yeah.
But thank you very much.
You're very welcome,
thanks
sir.
for inviting me once again to be on your show.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's an absolutely critical time in the country, and there are a lot of different things that we want to discuss because we were talking before the break. What we can feel from the public is a sense of frustration. Yeah. We are looking for solutions. We are looking for leadership. And we are looking for some sort of indicator that there will be a change from what currently exists. Mm-hmm. I want to start off from your perspective, looking at how you look at the situation that is unfolding currently. There is the corruption and the issues that took place in the United Democratic Party, but it goes beyond that party. Mm-hmm. It goes into the sentiment of the wider public.
I think that there's a general frustration and skepticism on political leaders, and rightly so. I can't blame Belizeans to feel that way. I think what has happened is that the past two governments, PUP and UDP governments, for instance, when we went in with so much promise, but our promise was to be able to grow the economy. We grew the economy. Jobs are being created. There was a sense of optimism within the country. Crime was under control. We were investing in education, in targeted infrastructure, looking at the productive sector. So I think things were happening. Yeah. Unfortunately, then we had the issues of corruption that came to light. Mm-hmm. And then people just exploded and got upset, rightly so. What I think has brought it to this point where people was like what next? What can we do? If you feel that it's palpable, that frustration, is because now here we have the Prime Minister, whose sole platform was, I am going to fight corruption. I have my machete on two sides, a riff of corruption, all the fancy, beautiful words that he usually uses. And fast forward to today, we have now the most corrupt government this country has ever seen, by any metrics. As much as Mrs. Aliva yesterday tried to explain, corruption is corruption is corruption. He committed several corrupt acts, and his government continues to cover up. I think there's one fundamental difference, that here we were, when we were in government, we were working, getting things done, and there's a sense of optimism within the country. And now the UDP, 11 billion, almost $12 billion later, we have more poverty, we have more crime, we have this sense of malaise in the country, that nothing is going wrong, nothing is going correctly, just almost a sense of hopelessness, helplessness. And that has to change. And I know that. I mean, I see it when I walk around. And people say like they don't want to believe, but at the same time they kind of wonder.
Well, and I'm glad you point that out, because this is where a lot of people will look at you as the leader of the opposition, and some may be disappointed in how you address the corruption issues and all the other issues that we've been seeing. And here's the reason why. You said it very clearly, that the past PUP administration over 10 years ago had serious issues that brought them to their knees. That's why the country took a huge shift in 2009, and it continued for many years. So there are legacy issues about corruption within the People's United Party. we have had many other issues come forward within this administration, so much so that I don't even know if people can recall some of the earlier things that took place in the early 2010s. We're only focused on what is happening today. So there is an overwhelming fatigue with looking at both mass parties and seeing just a blatant disrespect for the public and their money. But let me just get to the question. The point is, how do you, in this moment, in an election year nonetheless, step forward and offer any form of hope and separate yourself from what was and what currently exists to give people some type of hope in looking forward?
Well, I think what, first of all, and we need to look backwards to be able to move forward. Within our party, within the PUP, when we were in government, as in 2004, a number of us felt that, that we were not going in the right direction and that we had to change, to do certain changes. And we stepped up and we spoke and we went publicly, and then the Prime Minister met with us, the G7, and we made the necessary adjustments. No matter what you said, after 2004, Said Musa as Prime Minister and the PUP with brothers in cabinet, we tightened belt and we fixed many of the things that were going wrong. Not even the Prime Minister had to admit in his first budget in July of 2008 that the deficit, the government's deficit, when we left was under 1% of GDP. They were accusing us that we were over 9%. Well, we cut it down, we tightened it, and we did what we had to do. That is one. But secondly, also, I mean, in 2007, again, my government wanted to make certain decisions, and I felt that I simply cannot support it. I resigned from cabinet. Have you seen that happen with the government, with this present government? Not one of them. They defended Penner. They defended Gaspar Vega when he gave his son $400,000. They defended Castro when he was taking money from the Belize, from the BBA, Belize Airport Authority, BAA, sorry, Airport Authority. I mean, they constantly, Jan Saldiva, they defend him. Boots Martinez, they defend, and not one of them have been brave enough to say, you know what, enough. We have to change course. You don't see that. Now, to the present, we're not using fancy words. We're not using big words that, to confuse people and to try to impress them. What I have done last week, Thursday, that we made some specific proposals as to what we're going to do. I'm not talking about a mythical machete. I'm talking about you judge us on this. We're starting off by saying we need to strengthen the Accountant General's office. Make her more independent, have your own budget, go straight to the House to get a budget, not for the Minister of Finance, to be able to report not only to the Prime Minister, but also to the National Assembly. These are some specific points that we're saying that we are going to do. No party has ever done that. No. Here we are coming with specific pieces of legislation that we're going to do to strengthen governance in this country.
One of the things that as a young person in our country, we tend to not really fall on the opening ears of politics. And we've listened, though, to the opposition speaking a lot of what the current administration is doing and how we're going to try and change that. I think one of the clouds that sit over your head as the leader of the opposition, the PUP, is that you, Honorable John Briceño, was a part of the past administration, and a lot of things have been said and a lot of things has been done, and it keeps in people's mind, especially with the current party, pushing it in their minds and saying this and saying that. How do you get out of this cloud? I think, and I'm saying this because what you're looking for is a win coming up in the next general election. It's not about the current administration. It's about how you bring those people out to believe in what you're doing. How do you get this cloud from the people's mind?
I think the only way you can do it is by actually presenting out a plan. This is what I'm going to do. I'm not promising you. I am laying out my plans as to how we're going to improve governance. Right now, governance is in the forefront of everybody's mind. The issue of corruption. And corruption, we have to understand, is endemic now in government. When we were in government, it was never this bad, that it is now almost ingrained in every level of government, from the Prime Minister's office right down to the clerk in a ministries, in the Ministry of Lands or any other ministry. And we have to take that out. And the only way we can do that is by passing legislation, but legislation that have teeth, that will be able to automatically get things. We have a lot of laws, but we don't implement them. Yes. That is why we're saying that we have to remove some of that powers. We are saying that one of the things that will be, it wasn't a part of what we mentioned, but that we have to limit the powers of the ministers. And I am saying that within the first 6 months, we are going to come up with a plan as to how we can limit the powers of the ministers. But the specific things we're talking about, strengthening the Accountant General's office, the Integrity Commission's office, making sure that the House works. We meet, once every 2 months, every 3 months? We are saying that we're going to meet at a minimum of 1 time every month. But also, these House committees that meet in secret and committees meetings that take, 2-3 minutes, we are saying that, first of all, the Public Accounts Committee, which the government has been very good in frustrating Judas Espat as the chairman, that's the only committee that the opposition controls. Well, has the chair, but they control
the chair, not control.
The chair, but not control, exactly.
The composition doesn't let.
We have to change the composition, and we will not allow substantive ministers to be a part of the Public Accounts Committee. They are not going to investigate themselves. So we have to change that. We're saying we will change that. Also, we need to make it public, that any member of this country, any citizen, can go and attend these committees, and we use technology. We could live stream it on the internet, and anybody and everybody can see it. Now, so these are some specific. They're simple, but they're fundamental and transformative in how we're going to manage the new government.
What seems to have been the approach by your party is to step up after the issues that took place last week and
That's not true.
No, I mean to step forward and offer some sort of future solutions to what is taking place. So this outline that you have just told us about, the thing is that it hinges upon your election. My question is, what can the People's United Party do now, pre-election, to be able to show voters in this country that you are serious about reform, that you are serious about fighting corruption? And one of the first places we can start is campaign financing.
One of the things that we're talking about is campaign finance legislation.
Yes.
And there are 4 basic tenets in campaign finance legislation that we're talking about. One is that we need to define who's a political party, and to be defined, and to set up standards. I said, secondly, we're thinking about campaign financing. We need to look at, will it be strictly private? Will it be strictly public? Will it be private-public model? So we're looking at that. Yeah. And by that meaning that, that you limit the types of donations that can be given to a political party, but we also have to consider whether the allegiance are ready to allow taxpayers' money is being used to be able to fund political parties, and it's done all over the world. You can't have your cake and eat it. You need to decide what is it that we want.
No, I understand.
So that is a discussion that we have. We are also even talking about setting the date for elections, that everybody will know when the elections is going to be.
Like we have with the municipal elections.
Like we have with municipal elections. And I smile because when I think about that, I said my preference would be in March, to the rain. So these are just some tenets that we're talking about. Yeah. The media, I mean, we need to have fair access to all political parties during election time. So that means that the media we may have to consider that media have to give some free time to political parties during that time if we want to cut down the expenses, because media is super expensive. And another idea is that then we want, and I see Amalia, am I looking at me right now, frowning at me,
but the thing is,
the other point is also, we also need to think about limiting the time campaigning, because the longer it is, the more expensive it becomes.
And I hear what you're saying. You're talking about how you can have better control over where the monies come from, and not need as much to run a political campaign, because it is very expensive. And what we have seen with the Zaldívar scandal is really where there's not enough due diligence done to look at who is offering campaign financing, if that was the purpose of that money, because we still don't know. The question is, though, and I still go back to it, can you or would you feel comfortable today having the tough conversation with your financiers for your campaign, saying, maybe I will disclose before there even is legislation. Maybe I will let the people of Belize see that I'm serious about campaign finance reform and start to disclose from now.
I think that before I go to that, we need to decide what exactly will be provided for disclosure or not. So I think we will be jumping the gun. What is important is that we are fully committed to be able to get this thing done, to get this done. And campaign finance reform is just but one of them. You have so many other aspects. Here we have the government controlling about $1 billion with very little oversight. I mean, so we did talk about the peanuts when we talk about the bank itself, the $1 billion. That is where we have problems. Why is it that you think that the Prime Minister does not want us to have an audit on the Petro-Caribbean Fund? Why do you think the Prime Minister does not want to have an audit on the Belize Investment Limited? That is where we've had massive stealing. So let's look at everything. Let's not just get caught up because, oh, it looks so good for that kind of campaign finance reform. It is all encompassed. What about the Integrity Commission, where ministers have refused to file? When there was not an Integrity Commission for about 4 years, from about 2011 till about 2015, 16. And the first meeting that the Integrity Commission, and the first committee that they made a decision, the first meeting, that they're asking all representatives to file from 2012 forward. 1 month later, the Integrity Commission reversed this decision and said, okay, well, we're going to start from now because we just got appointed.
And the
reason was simply because the ministers in cabinet refused. They said they are not going to do any submissions or declarations from 2012. This is why we have to look at campaign finance reform. Is just about one thing. Yes, I do. Every year I do. I haven't done this 2019. And I think we have until the end of this month.
Yesterday we had Honorable Dickie Bradley on the show. Well, I call her Honorable. That's just my, you know. But Martini asked the question to him as well. Would you be comfortable in rolling out where you got your campaign funds from?
We have campaign contributions from different business establishments and individuals here in Belize. We get no money from abroad. And in many instances, personal loans that I have to take out to run the party. And in my campaign, most of the times I've been self-financing my campaign since 1993.
Wow.
Now, the reason we keep asking this question, and I go back to it, and I understand what you're saying, there's a lot of reform that has to take place. We had a conversation with Senator Lizarraga, with Dickie Bradley. We have oversight committees in this country. We have regulations that can reduce the level of corruption that we're seeing, but they're not working. They're under-resourced.
They're not working because they, for instance, do not have the necessary independence.
And that is what we're talking.
But that is why we're saying that we are going to give them the independence necessary to do their jobs. We're saying that, for instance, with the Integrity Commission, we're talking about the Auditor General's Office, that they will now be able to present their budget directly to the National Assembly, not to the Minister of Finance, to approve their budget so that they have enough money to be able to do the investigations. We're talking about even with the Auditor General so that she can have subpoena powers, and that by law, when she goes into a government office, they must give her whatever record she has, because that is her greatest frustration. He said, she go to office and impairment. He write letter and they can't for meet them, they don't come. She cannot get information. So we have to change the laws. That's the only way it is going to work. We have the structure, but without teeth. And I'm saying that we are going to put teeth. We're also talking about setting up an anti-corruption commission or agency that is going to be completely divorced from government with its own budget and not controlled by the government, and they can be able to investigate any and everybody from the Prime Minister to the cleaner in an office.
But so this is the rule.
So this is how it's going to happen. We can't do more than that right now.
But Honorable Briceño, this is the rule of the people. This is when the people say that's just political rhetoric.
It's not rhetoric.
We're just hearing
for
it,
the first time. For the first time, we have a political party actually addressing these are the steps that we are going to take. Judge me on this.
But how
measure me on this.
How do you assure the people? And
but the only way you could assure me, we have to get there. It's, for instance, like when you have your girlfriend and you tell her that you are treating her good when you get married. How you could actually do that until you get married?
You know, and what John is saying, I think, is just it's a reflection.
I understand
it. Yes, and this
guys,
situation.
I more than Uno. I more than you all know that. I live it every day. I walk the streets all across this country and I feel the frustration. And I know that we have to do a change. And I'll tell you another reason why we have to change as politicians. It is for our own self-preservation. You know why? Because one of these days, if we continue to run this country the way it is, they are going to hurt us. Some belligerent and they say, you know, enough and I hurt we. So we have to do it even if just for self-preservation. But more importantly, we cannot continue to manage this country the way we have.
Can you tell us, what is your position on redistricting, and do you have a representative for every constituency across the country?
We have 3 left. We're going to have the 4 judge, which is going to be today. Queen Square, we have 2 or 3 persons that we're talking. We haven't decided on that one, and Orange Walk Central.
Okay. What is the mood in the party right now? And I appreciate the passion that came out just now, because it felt reflective of what I hear people seeing and saying out there. And when people just literally want to turn off all the political speeches that take place. When you recruit new people to your party, integrity is what is going to save us. A good moral compass is what's going to save us. Leadership that demands no less is what's going to save us. So in this recruitment phase, how clear are you with those who have been in the party for a while and those who you're recruiting to understand that this is a new generation? If that's what you're saying, that this is a new generation.
The way I explain it, Marlene, I'm telling them, if you want to get into politics because you want to get wealthy, you're in the wrong party. We don't want that kind of person. And then I also tell them, when we're talking about, you know, the reforms, I said, listen, I want you to look very carefully at what we're doing. We're going to do these reforms, and I want you to know that if you do the wrong decisions, you can't come to me for cover, because I would not be, even if I want to, which I would not want to, I would not be able to cover, because the laws and these groups are going to be independent and they can come and investigate each and every one of you.
Now let's talk about some of the other things that are taking place. We heard yesterday that, or actually in the press release back and forth, that the Prime Minister intends to appeal the decision coming out of the letters. That his intention is to appeal the ruling of the Supreme Court.
Should I be kind? The Prime Minister's own attorney, he brought a high-paid attorney from the Caribbean to defend him. He said in court to the Chief Justice, I know it's unconstitutional, but just be easy on us. So what on earth is the Prime Minister talking about appealing, when they know it is very clear that the Constitution has been breached? It has been breached. There's no other way to explain it. And for him to say that, well, because I guess you have to say something. And the Attorney General, if my Attorney General says something stupid like that, I would have fired him.
Here's the thing, though. What would a challenge in the Supreme Court change? Because the ruling itself, while it was deemed unconstitutional, it also provided an out. It said, really. Go back and change the Constitution and make it retroactive.
But you have to fix it. The Chief Justice did what he thought was the right thing. We have to fix it. We just can't leave it there as illegal. And the only way you could fix it is by amending the Constitution to fix these 21 supplementary budgets that were passed. That's the only way you could fix it. But that's one. But then he said, he passed an injunction so that no present or future Minister of Finance can be spending monies that has not been approved by the House. But if he were to do that, then we can fix that. So he said, okay, I want to lift the injunction for 6 months so you could fix that. Now we're saying we want to fix it, but we just don't fix it just to fix it. We need to see what happened, because every time that the Prime Minister brought up these supplementary budgets for us to approve after they don't spend the money, then just put one line item, Ministry of Works, $40 million. Ministry of Finance, $60 million. And there's nothing there. We need to be able to find what happened. Why is it that they were spending like drunken sailors with no accountability?
Now, it is important for us to be able to explain the implications that this may have. We're heading into a budget cycle.
It is a very important.
And it has been, and I think that has been the Prime Minister's argument, that it has been a long time practice.
It's a wrong practice.
I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying he said it's a long time practice. What your action is saying by taking it to court is that you will no longer condone this. But as we head into the budget cycle, I don't know how much we as the voters have paid attention to what is actually presented and then what additional funds are accessed over the course of the years. We've kind of just accepted it as is. So it's a matter that is of absolute importance, but it just has not necessarily been one of the loudest cries from the public. How do you explain?
It's not one of the loudest cries because as citizens, we do not follow closely what happens with government. But once you understand, you will say, we have a finance reform. That's how we watch. That $1 billion that the government just spent freely with hardly any kind of accountability, that is what we have to look at. The judgment that the Chief Justice did is a landmark decision because it's going to have repercussions not only in Belize, but in the entire Caribbean, because governments tend to do that year after year, year after year. And it has to come to a stop. When you want to build your house, John, and you're Mr. Benny's, right? When you build your house, everybody will tell you, okay, the contractor will tell you, it costs you $1,000, but you know, we have to put on 10%, you know, for cost overrun, you know, so that will be an extra $100, right, on the $1,000. So that if you spend more than that, you have that to go to. Government should operate under that same principle. The Constitution allows for that. That is why the Constitution says there's the General Revenue Fund and the budget for the government, and then you have what you call a contingency fund. Don't know government has used it before. It doesn't mean that it's right. You know, when you were dealing with 100 million and 200 million way back, maybe it wasn't as urgent or as necessary as it today, but now you work with $1 billion. So you have your contingency fund, and then the government should say we want to put 50 million, X amount of money in that country, so that if they have any shortage, you could go to the contingency fund, and then at the end of the year come and say, well, on the contingency fund we had X money, but we had shortage in this ministry and we use it. That is how you manage the government. It has not been done, and this government, especially when they even get the Petro-Caribe money, you know, oh, Petro-Caribe roll it now from the tacos and the parties and the drinking. I mean, that stealing that has happened there, I mean, and you may say, oh, John, they exaggerate. Trust me, the Prime Minister is fighting tooth and nail because he does not want us to get in there and do a forensic audit.
And the case will continue at this point. And
I don't know what case will continue because he will not. Can I say something? I am challenging you that the Prime Minister is not going to appeal.
You're saying that he's not going to?
He can't. His own His own lawyer that represented him in court said, I know it's unconstitutional.
On record.
He said it on record. He said it in the House. How can he appeal?
You still haven't addressed the situation.
Or he appeal and then the Court of Appeal until you know one case and just straight right back.
We still haven't received your answer in terms of the redistricting. And do you think that do you think that it would be of justice to your party if there is a redistricting before the next general election?
The concern that we have when it comes to redistricting, we know and understand and support that there has to be a redistricting. But we're coming too close to an election, we believe, to have a fair redistricting effort at this time. Why do I say that? Well, once you have the area that you represent, you create a relationship with most of your voters and over time. But if you come and you change these voters and then they give you new voters 2 months, 3 months before an election, you don't have the opportunity to be able to meet them and getting to know them and try, you know. So that is, I think, the redistricting should have been done way back. No, we are pushing back when we were doing the re-registration. We were pushing that from way back from 2016. We were saying that we need to do we should have done the re-registration in 2016, and then in 2017, then you do your redistricting, so that then the new representatives have
redistricting, I mean, could have been done after the re-registration.
Exactly,
we had
immediately
the first
after.
run with the ICJ referendum.
Yeah.
So you know, we heard the
but
Attorney
the
General saying
had
that
no interest.
Well, can it be argued that no political party has that interest? No, neither the UDP or PUP. You have long established relationships with your voters in your constituency. A redistricting essentially will have to allow certain representatives to build brand new relationships to take care of
I have had
voters.
redistricting in my constituency. In 2006, I got some areas in Orange Walk Town, and I got San Esteban. You know, but it was about at least a year and a half before the election, so that I could have gone in and meet these people, talk to them, and you know, and build a new relationship with these people. But right now we don't have the time. That is my concern. Whether we need redistricting, yes, we need redistricting. Do we have to? Yes, we have to do redistricting. It's a matter of timing, and also something that we don't talk much about is that we also have to look at the Elections and Boundaries Commission, that again is controlled strictly by the government. It's a former chairman of the UDP that is the chairman of the Elections and Boundaries Commission. What do you think they're going to do when they go joining lines? Again, we have to find some form of independence in that area.
So you wouldn't want it to take place under this current Elections and Boundaries Commission? Is that what you're saying?
No, what I'm saying is that I believe that gives you some concern, but we have to live with it. It's the law. But what more importantly right now is that we think that it is too close to the election. Some people have said 3 months from now, some people have said 8 months from now. We don't know, but we are too close to get it done right.
What would be on the top of your bucket list if the PUP should come in?
You mean when the PUP win?
We're not predictors of the future.
But what would be on the top of your bucket list? Your main horse that you're going after?
Well, obviously, one of the first things, there are several things that we have to do at the same time. We will not have the luxury of saying, oh, we can do this and take our time. We have to address the issue of corruption, crime, and the economy. We just did a poll about 2 weeks ago, and 1/3 of the people that we polled nationwide are telling us that they want a job. Yet, Statistical Institute of Belize will tell you that unemployment is what, 12%. Makes no sense.
Well, they have markers that they use, and it's only for a couple hours of work for the week that counts as employment.
So we need to fix that. Let's be realistic. I always say, one time in Corozal Town, we put an application for an employee. We needed a customer representative, service representative, a CSR. And for one job, we had about 150 people applying. And not only high school, sixth form, and UB. You know, so those are the 3 issues. We just can't be in isolation and say, oh, we handle this one. No, we have to address these 3 issues all at the same time. The issue of crime, when we talk to people, crime comes up right there with corruption. Right here, I mean, people, they're fed up.
So your poll said that the 3 top issues were corruption, crime,
and job creation.
Job creation.
No, but the issue with crime is that now, for instance, I was shocked to find out that in Orange Walk, 80% of the people believe that crime is an issue. I was like, wow. But we find out that the kind of crime they're talking about is not like the heinous crimes that we see most of it centered in Belize City, unfortunately. But we see the issues of petty crime, and broke in your house, you know, you left your bucket outside and go with it. If you left your car, you know, that kind of petty crime that we really need to be able to address. And that's a reflection of the economy. A lot of people can't get a job. And that is what we have to be addressed. We have to be able to sit down with the productive sector. We had $500 million at 1% from PetroCaribe that we could have set aside, at least $50 million, and invested in the productive sector. You know what a world of a difference we could have done? I've met with the cane farmers, and what they're telling us, the biggest cry is that they don't have access to affordable financing. Same thing you see in citrus, in bananas, in shrimp, you know. These are areas that with some effort, we could turn it around very quickly, and then give us the opportunity then to look at other areas, like how can we get our products into Mexico. You know, many Mexicans want to come and buy our beef. I mean, they want to buy all of the beef. But we just are so incompetent that we just can't get it done from our side. We just have an incompetent government, and they just don't care. We have to put people that really care and that want to get the job done. And that is what my commitment to the Belizean people. We are going in there and we're going to work and we're going to get the job done. And then judge we on what we do.
Honorable Briceño, one of the most alarming things that we've seen over the past few years, as a matter of fact, I think it's historical the way that it is right now in terms of national security and all these planes landing. How would you address that situation? What do we do?
I am super concerned, very, very concerned.
Everybody is.
I mean, I even met with the people at the U.S. Embassy and so forth. You know what scares me? I mean, this shit. I'm sorry. This plane landings scare the hell out of me.
Just passion.
You know why?
Yeah.
Look at what happened to Mexico. Mexico is a huge country. Mexico have a lot of resources, and now they're trying to fight to stop the drug trade, and they can't seem to get going anywhere. Tens of thousands of people have been killed. You know what they take from Magdalene? People come and take we over? Like that.
35,000.
We'd leave it a money, they come and take we over. We cannot allow that, and we have to fight with everything that we have to stop that. And I'm very, very passionate about that, and then we have to reach out to our international partners, the Americans, if they can help us to track these planes so that when in the land here we could be right there. We can't go north when the plane goes south, which is what is happening to us.
Well, you know, your frustration here, and in fact you have refused to apologize in terms of saying that there are people involved at the highest level in government. You've said this publicly.
I believe
you
so.
hold on to it. You
That's the only way it can happen.
Yeah.
That's the only way this is happening. People high up have to be involved. And the Attorney General could say what he wants, he could carry me to court, he could lock me up. The truth of the matter that people high up in this UDP government has to be involved. Horace.
Well, I think everybody has had a lot of education watching Narcos on Netflix as to the level of involvement that
I have to watch it, I know what I want.
But the issue, the fundamental issue is what you're saying. It's that it is a problem that we see growing and that can become
and if we don't stop it now, we are going to,
so how are you,
10 years from now.
If you were elected, because you're looking at multiple, you're talking about external forces, but you also, the greatest strength has to come internally, and it requires resources that we may not have.
Well, we need to look internally amongst ourselves first. We need to take a hard look at the police department and the BDF. And there are ways where you can do different tests to find out who not to do and who not to do. Or if you feel that they do, I'm sorry, you can't. You need to go. And also within the government structure, if there's any people high up, they also have to go. Easier said than done, please. But at the same time, I think that the Americans are also very concerned because these drugs are going to them. Yeah, so we can go, and I have no shame to say that I'm prepared to ask them to help us. Because this thing, we have to stop it, really. If we don't do anything right now, 10 years from now, we will look back and say, what the heck have we done? We are going to lose our country. We are going to lose our country. And the Prime Minister could sit down right there in his ivory tower and believe and try to defend and take no action.
Do you think that the Prime Minister's way of handling the Saldivar situation was a slap on the wrist? What's your thoughts on that? The man resigned.
In other countries, I think, you know, the Prime Minister would have resigned a long time ago.
Why do you say
because
that?
He knew what was happening. He knew all along. And I challenge him to tell him. He knew. Everybody knew what was going to come out at the court. That this Mr. Kingston has already made it public what he's going to say, that he was giving money to not only to John Saldivar, he had 3 more ministers. Prime Minister not talk with the other 3 ministers. Why doesn't he investigate what the other 3 ministers?
But giving money doesn't mean. Does that mean that that's corruption?
Well, you are getting money from a person as a person that's. Thank you. You are taking money from a person who has. Let me go to do a simple Google search, and they may find out that this man. Bad news. You don't want to touch him. And you give him money, and then what are you doing? You're the driver, you're the cover all over, the BDF boat all over the country. You give him red carpet treatment when you reach from in the international airport in a private jet. Then you go and say, you know what, we want to make him a diplomat. And then we come and say, we are making him honorary consul in Las Vegas. And the Americans immediately say, hell no, we're not going to do that. And then Mr. Saldivar then goes to the Foreign Minister and says, what else we could do? How we could fix this? And you think that's campaign finance? That's a campaign donation? Please, man.
You know, I think when you tie together the pieces, that's precisely what people look at. It was suspect from the first press conference when the suggestion of campaign finance came up.
The Prime Minister, as usual.
But it was also very clearly laid out at that time the favors that were requested on behalf of Dermot, which included the Honorary Council for Las Vegas. And that is perhaps...
He got his nationality like that, without going through the process. Let's not forget that. And that file disappeared. That file disappeared. Yeah. Let's not forget that. He got his nationality very quickly without following any of the processes, and the file disappeared. So now you want to tell me about campaign contribution? Please, man. And then the Prime Minister, I believe that the people in his party should fire him, or simply because look at what he has done to his party. He allowed to have a convention just to get rid of Patrick Faber. Because he knew this was going to happen. He knew it was going to be a few days later. He could have been waiting a week.
Well, some may say, you know, that if you look at your opponent right now, they're not in great shape with all the scandals taking place.
Really?
I think people, but as I said very clearly from the beginning, there's a general frustration. It's not to just one party. But I do believe that people are looking at us more seriously and feeling that at least here we have finally, you know, that the PUP is not finally, but putting some proposals here on the table so that we can discuss. There's a frustration, but I really believe, and that's what the polls that we have been doing, conducting independent polls, have showing that there's a general shift. You know, well, Honorable Briceño, I'll say this much. You're still taking the test. We'll see when election is called and what the results are at that time. But clearly, you have to put your best effort forward. Not done until you count the last vote. Precisely. But I wanted to go back to what I was saying. I think, you know, when we look at it, we can see it as the People's United Party should be happy or would be happy or will make use of the opportunity that the United Democratic Party is not in best form. However, expanding the picture, it is looking at elected officials with, not anymore, but at one point, very important government portfolios who are involved in these types of behaviors. How do you separate the politics from it when you address this situation and look at it for what it is? These are not, they're no longer just a UDP Belmopan representative. That is our Minister of National Security. In fact, that's what he's referred to in the Utah court.
You beat me to what I was going to tell you. That whilst politically, you know, I could rejoice and say, oh, good for them. But really deep down as a Belizean, as a citizen, it pains me, it hurts to see that what is happening to your country. I don't rejoice, and you may find that very hard to believe, I don't rejoice when things go bad in this country. I don't rejoice when the economy is bad, because a lot of good people get hurt. Mm-hmm. I'm also a business person, you know, my business suffer, but more than that, a lot of good people can't find. You don't know what, when you go to a house and one person next to tears because they say, Mr. John, I try to get a job and I can't get a job. Mm-hmm. Last week, Saturday, I was walking and I went into a guy's house, a young couple, 2 little kids, they have one little room, like 2 beds in the room, one little TV, one little kitchen, everything in that room. Mm-hmm. About a third of this area right here, very small, and they were very quiet, and I was talking to them. And the guy said, you know, Mr. Johnny, I will support you, know, and so blah. So I left. When I was coming back, he and his wife went out of the room, not in front of the children. And the wife told me, he said, you can't give my husband just for a chop 1 yard. They said, because my husband has been going like shop to shop for 2 weeks and I can't get one job. Just, we know they beg for money. I get no, I don't get no satisfaction in that. I mean, so I don't like seeing what is happening to our government, because it is our government. Yeah. It is Belize that is getting. When I go on top of Belize in the Utah court, and then the newspapers in Utah, I mean, they almost make fun of us about, you know, here is your next prime minister and being dragged into court. I get no fun out of it.
All right, but there is some politics involved here, and I want us to look at the outstanding leadership convention.
As I said.
Yes, yes. And that's why, because I also think that we have a responsibility to point out that even when we document what has taken place, we're not documenting just an individual, we are documenting a critical post in this country. I mean, a Minister of National Security is an extremely essential post. They should even know how easy it is to trace text messages. But that's a whole other conversation. The issue is that you don't even know who your opponent will be when the election is called.
It doesn't matter to me at this time. It doesn't matter to me. I mean, Prime Minister.
I mean, it could have been a battle of Johns, but we don't know if that may be. It is unknown what will take place with Minister Carver.
I think what is important for us is to be able to make sure that we continue working on our policies. Yeah. We have 17 groups working in different policies that we'll be rolling out very shortly. We started off last week, Thursday, and then we will continue. As we said, we have 4 major goals as the new PUP government. Reduce poverty in half in 10 years, reduce the trade deficit in half within 10 years, have full employment for women and young people, and then the 4th one is citizen security, that we need to feel free. And citizen security is not just that from crime, but that the hospital they work, the schools they work, that you have that sense of belongingness into. It's a beautiful community of ours, Belize, man.
Yeah, yeah. You know what, Honorable Briceño? If you're still short 3 candidates, though.
No, we're not short of 3 candidates.
You're short 3 candidates. Well, you still haven't placed those people. Nobody knows who these people are as yet.
Do you think we could find somebody from Orange Walk Central?
I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm not the one on the ground, but I'll tell you this: if anyone should be called today, you speak confidence, but you're short 3 people.
No, we're not. Today we're going to have the convention for Fort George, which is the former Prime Minister and leader of the PUP, says he wants to run once again. So officially, he's going to be the candidate. I am the candidate for Orange Walk Central, but officially, we have not had the convention because we want to be able to have all of them, and then mine was to be the last one where we could present all candidates. And then Queen Square, well, we're talking to, I think, 2 or 3 persons right now before we decide who I think would be the best person to put there. But short of that, we have our team.
Honorable Presenio.
Yes.
Let's talk about this issue. You, the Fort George candidate, Honorable Said Musa, will enter the race again.
At least that's a plan.
Let's not mince any words. The Musa Fonseca scandal that brought down the People's United Party is what lingers today in the forefront of what anybody thinks of the People's United Party. Why have you deliberately chosen not to change the faces or to change the persons who are represented in the party to really give the Belizean public a view to see that you are serious about change?
We have made lots and lots of loads of changes in the PUP. For instance, in Corozal, we have 3 new candidates in Orange Walk.
I understand all of that.
So you're talking about one person, and one person does not represent the entire party.
But if
unless
there
you
is
want to be one
name, and you can ask Prime Minister Barrow about that right now. I mean, right now everybody's talking about one name, but
and
it is a reflection of his entire
but at the end of the day,
administration.
But at the end of the day, it is the people of Fort George to make the decision. I don't have the power as the leader of the party to decide who can run or not run. I may make recommendations, but the constitution of our party is very clear. Every constituency, the people of that constituency decide who is it that they want to run. There's no grounds for us to tell Honorable Said Musa he can run.
Would you have a preference that he wouldn't?
Sorry?
Do you have a preference that he wouldn't?
Let's put it this way now. I think that because of the time that he's been in there, I think I want him to make the decision when he thinks is the best time, whether he should run or not.
Do you accept that it's still a concern for Belizeans?
I don't think so.
And I don't mean him personally. I mean the impression of that last thing, that last scandal.
Not anymore. I don't think that is really a big issue anymore. And again, looking at the national polls that are being conducted, that is no longer an issue for the PUP. I mean, there will always be persons that are concerned, oh, you know, this one, like in every family. But you can't judge the family base right now at any time, because like if you in your family you had somebody that was an alcoholic, you know, means everybody are alcoholics. You know, but it means no that you take care of that.
It's genetic, you could get it.
Alcoholism, maybe.
Yes.
I'll argue with you on that one. So, but the point I'm trying to make is that we have really good new candidates that, for instance, actually come to think about that, when we get to Bamapan, there's only going to be like about 4 of us that have been in a cabinet. Corel, myself, Said, Mike, and Raduel. And Raduel is there for a short while. So it's like a new group coming to Bamapan.
Your People's United Party
People's United Party.
Your People's United Party, or the People's United Party, has planned a demonstration
on Sunday.
Massive demonstration this coming Sunday. Elaborate on that, you know, and why would you want for folks to go out there to chant this way forward? Elaborate there for us.
I think it's important that as Belizeans we can come out and just vent our frustrations and to let the government know that, you know, just enough is enough. Just all of the abuses that you have been doing since 2008, from they got into government, from they got in, not Gaspar Vega, from they get into government, things will go wrong. And people were telling the Prime Minister, I told the Prime Minister personally, and they did nothing. So people just have enough. And here we're giving an opportunity that we can come out. Now, on Thursday, when we sent out that when I announced that, I said, I'm inviting everyone to join us. It's not just a PUP issue, it's a Belizean issue, it's a Belize issue. And And now, well, we hear now the unions are saying, well, they're going to do, they're following suit, but they're going to do it tomorrow. And I understand when talking to them, they're saying that their constitution does not allow them to join with a political party.
Yeah.
If they were to have done and then we join them, that's fine, but they can't join. And we respect that. The important thing is that not only us, but even now our social partners see it fit that they have to go on the streets to demonstrate their great dissatisfaction with the UDP government.
And you have that protest coming up on
Sunday.
Looking forward, you have mentioned that the United Democratic Party has been successful in the past 3 elections. In Belize, we usually say you don't win an election, you get voted out, right? Which, if we use that example, it seems that for some reason, the Belizean public did not feel content in voting in the People's United Party for 3 consecutive terms. What makes you feel that they will want to do so this time around?
Well, very quickly, 2008, rightly so, we don't have to go down that road. In 2012, we lost simply because they gave over 2,000 nationalities just before the elections. Remember that?
Wow.
And with their 2 divisions that we lost Cayo Central, I think, by about 14 votes, and then Cayo Northeast by about 40 odd votes. Basically, stole the election from us. In 2015, they bought the election from us. What they did was using the Petro-Caribbean money. That's why the Prime Minister does not want us to audit the Petro-Caribbean money. Then just made a splurge on that money. So it's not necessarily that they were really rejecting us, but the enticement was a little too much. This time around, yes, there's great displeasure and or dissatisfaction with the government, and yes, we will take advantage of that. But I want to believe that they are going to vote for us also, because we are going to come with good, solid proposals as how we're going to address the 3 C's: crime, corruption, creation of jobs. And to us, that is what is fundamental to us. And then I want you all then to judge us based on the actions that we take when we're in government.
All right.
All right.
Well, we thank you for coming in, and I think that's a great point to close off on. Of course, the protest takes place on Sunday, and we will follow up with that the following day.
And we're inviting you too, both of you. I hope we could give them a blue shirt if you don't want. But we don't have any blue shirts to give.
As the media will be on the sidelines for sure. But we do appreciate you coming in and talking about these issues.
Marlene, John, thank you so much.
You
I mean, I know we sometimes laugh, but this is a very serious matter.
Yeah.
And we just can't continue to run the country the way we have over the decades. And our team, our group of standard bearers, we are fully committed to turn things around for the better in this country.
All right. Thank you. We're going to go ahead and take a break, and we'll be back in a few. Stay tuned.
Five years ago, Don
welcome back to Open Your Eyes. Lovely Wednesday morning. We're venturing off now into a very interesting topic. A book review, actually. And this book is actually on dumb things parents say to their children. What a thing. As a matter of fact, we've got the author in. She's none other than Jennifer Williams. Jennifer, a very pleasant morning. And it's nice to have you in.
Thank you. Open your eyes.
Yes. To the dumb things we say to our children. Ooh, that's a tough title. But you know what? Straight to the point. Tell us the impetus behind the book.
Well, I've been a teacher in California for almost 30 years.
Wow.
And it came from observations from the people in the States and in Belize. So I compiled basically mentally the interactions between parents, guardians, coaches, anyone who are, exactly. So I observed that many times they have said negative things. And being a teacher, many of the students, they have come to me in privacy. I have many letters, boxes, cards, where children poured out their hearts to me, the things that their parents have said to them. And because they have believed them, even though I'm not, I have a master's degree with counseling as well. I'm not supposed to be counseling them, but they confided in me because the painful words, they wouldn't think twice to arrest a parent in the States, maybe Belize now, if the child is suffering from physical abuse or sexual abuse.
Yeah.
But
not mental, emotional, verbal. They don't see that.
Yeah.
So they're carrying invisible wounds.
Yeah.
And I wish every parent would get this book.
I've done a quick look through, and you go through, you jump in directly to the things we should not say.
Yes.
And you close off with things that are better to be said.
Yes.
So I think, yes, and it's comprehensive. People can pick it up and read it. But you know, you said something, Jennifer, and we were chatting before we started. We really forget that words hurt.
Yes.
And words leave scars. Yes. You know, my mother used to tell me, oh, you have to have a duck back. You know, you just make it. And sometimes you do have to have that level of tough skin. But we are human.
Exactly.
And we are susceptible to our emotions. And children especially. I can't imagine as a child looking at the people that you love more than anything else, saying things that would cut so deep.
Exactly.
What has been the implications with the kids that you've seen and some of the things that you have heard them be told?
Well, like I said in the book, the main ones I've heard a lot, you will be like your no good daddy, or you will never amount to anything. So my rhetorical question to the first one is, well, if I'm going to be like my no good daddy mom, who picked the daddy? Then they want to slap you, like, no. Don't slap me, slap yourself first. Because if I'm going to be like the man you picked, then, you know, so, but this is not how it normally ends. And you'll never amount to anything, or we compare the children with others. We do this comparison thing, or we give them accolades based on their performance.
Yeah.
Affirmation should not be based on performance. If Johnny is doing well, I love the proverbial Johnny. If Johnny is doing well, you got an A+, yay, God bless you.
Yeah.
You bring home a D, blah, get cussed out.
Yeah.
So now they live up to this pressure. Go ahead.
Jennifer, I'm a parent, and I love my kids. Like, I love my kids. But I still feel that I think the biggest bullies are parents. I feel that because I don't want to go to, you know, it's how we were brought up.
Yes.
We see these things, we hear these things. What are your thoughts on that? Are parents bullies? Are we doing a bad job in sharing with our children the way we were brought up by the things that they actually told us?
Oh, wow, that's a deep question. We need 2 hours for that. But in a nutshell, yes, we do emulate what we've learned.
Yeah.
So they say the saying, hurt people, hurt people. But I also believe that heal people can heal people. So we do not have to continue the cycle that's damaging. So that's why this is my second edition. The first one, I did not have 20 edition. The first one did not have 20 questions, but I put 20 questions in the back for parents to literally have a talk, a dialogue. I don't care if your children are grown, go back and find out where the wounds they have caused through ignorance. It's usually done through ignorance and frustration. So,
yeah, because it doesn't come with a manual.
Yes, but common sense is...
Well, and John said something, it's how we are raised. It's our perception of children. I would love to argue. And of course, you could share your thoughts here. We see children as not whole human beings. You know, they're partial human beings, and we grew them into whole human beings. Yeah. But they are, and they're fully, they may not have the tools to express themselves, they may not be able to physically do the things, but emotionally and spiritually, they're whole beings.
Exactly.
And we can't treat them like lesser than. So when I degrade you out of my own frustration, and sometimes because I think it's just what's best for you, and it's gonna help you, it's not being fair to who they are.
Exactly.
You know, you said you spent most of your life in the U.S. and you still come back to Belize. One of the classic examples is even the perceptions in physical abuse. In Belize, even some of our top police officers think that corporal punishment should be implemented, and somehow this will save the country. Tell me about your impressions there.
Well, everything has to be done in balance. I believe in balance because each child is unique. You cannot just do a across the board punishment / discipline with every child, because some children in my class, I can just talk to them. I get through to them. Some other children, they will defy you, rebel. They will, you make me, and do the head thing. You know, so I believe it's the same way at home. So we just have to see where each child, how he or she is cut out, their makeup. But going back to words, the reason why I wrote this book is based on one scripture, Proverbs 18:21. Death and life is in the power of the tongue. So in front of all my books, before I sell it or give it away, I put speak life, speak life, speak life. So if you don't like the fruit, check the root. Don't look at the fruits. It's like, why? I no longer look. I say this on all my shows. I no longer look at what people do, but the why. So when I go to my class and I see, let's pick not Johnny again. If I see Andrew acting up, I go and I have a talk with him. I say, why are you behaving like this? This is not you. What happened? What's going on at home? And then I get to understand the why. Because if John is a straight A student and he's getting straight D's, I need to know why. You know? So we need to go to the why.
You know, I love that. Not the fruit, the root. So when you see a behavior, try to understand where the behavior comes from. You know more than anyone being in the classroom. And you know, I have teachers in my family. It's a lot of work. It is not an 8:30 to 3:30 job. And anybody who thinks that is completely lost on reality.
Have you been told sticks and stones?
Yeah.
Everybody.
What a lie! What a lie!
But see, the thing is, when you are in a classroom, you have a curriculum to impart. You have other things to be able to take care of. You have to meet your own goals. Some teachers say, listen, I just don't have the time to put in the extra to help each and every child who exhibits disciplinary problems in the classroom.
It's a big challenge.
And sometimes teachers use the dumb words.
Oh yes, I was at SJC last week. I spoke at Yasser Musa's, the history club, and we had the Q&A afterwards. And indeed, they quickly said, yes, you can be sarcastic. But so teachers, and I've been there, done that, guilty, and I went to apologize and, you know, try to reestablish that rapport again, because through frustration.
Well, Jennifer,
but how do you respond to the issue of time, though? Because, you know, I don't know how big your classrooms are, but if in Belize, you know, they may have 30 to 40 children.
42, 48.
I've been there, but I've learned my lesson over the years. The ratio has to be at least 15. You know, exactly.
To try and get to everybody.
Yes, because I had 135 students teaching all English lit, and I'm a writer as well. I do poetry, etc. So 135 rotating from 4th, 5th, and 6th grades. And high school, I've taught high school also.
Wow.
So if I, like I said, if I pull them aside, one of the things that I've done in the beginning of my class school year, I give out a letter, explain who I am, my expectations from me, the parents, and them, because it takes 3 for success. I have taught 1 year, I've never seen a parent all year long.
Wow.
I emailed, text, call, waited, nobody showed up.
And that's a reality in Belize as well, even for the younger ones.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, we look at teachers, you know, and I'm sorry I said we, but for the most part, people see teachers as babysitters. I need to go to work. I need to go to work. I'll take that child to school and that's it. And I'll pick them up when it's time to pick them up.
Listen, they cry when it's summer, like, oh my gosh, I want to be home with them. And the teachers are crying, laughing, like, yes.
Yeah.
Like they feel abandoned, like nobody wants me, you know. So
we've got some time here, and I'd like to hear some of the dumb things that parents say. And the reason for that is because we need to be cognizant of it. Because sometimes we say these things and we don't even know that it's, you know what, that's dumb. And I think one of the dumbest things to tell a child is if it's a boy, stop behave like one girl.
Oh my
gosh. And if it's a girl, stop behave like one boy.
Okay.
I think these things are dumb.
They are.
So can you elaborate on some of these things?
And I would like to substitute dumb for hurtful.
Yeah.
A synonym. Like I said, you'll be like your no good daddy. You'll never amount to anything. College is not for everybody, or, you know, you're not smart enough, good enough, etc. And they compare with the Joneses. You lazy, good for nothing, spoiled brat. You will always be like so-and-so, name a relative.
Yeah.
Why can't you be like your sister or your brother?
Oh my goodness, that's one of the biggest ones.
The comparison, you know. One is really...
Or you'll never be.
Oh, yeah. Oh my gosh. Or I've heard this, I did not put this in a book. I wish you were never born. Yeah, I've heard that. That song's like, ooh, that's a dagger. That's a dagger. You won't be able to find a good man. I have a couple of friends who are going through issues relationally because of words that were spoken.
Yeah.
You stupid, idiot, knucklehead, retard, bastard.
Yeah.
People laugh at these words, but those kids are impressionable.
And even in Belize, we have the tendency to look at children and typecast them from really young. This one I'm bad.
Yeah.
People say that about young girl children. She ain't bad, watch out.
Labels.
Why would you say that to your child? Or this Lee bad boy, he ain't being Lee bad boy.
Ignorance.
But okay, so we hear the words, but what does it do? I mean, essentially what you are saying here is that children will become or are more inclined to become what you tell them. If you say you never go to school or you never finish high school, then what feeling do they have to try harder?
You know what? One of the students that I spoke with last week at SJC after the talk, and he was in tears, and he said almost these same things that I mentioned here that his parents have told him. And he said, I am going to prove to them that I am smart, I'm going to do this. Now the pressure they put on this boy, now his achievement thing will be like this pressure. I have to, because he's looking for acceptance, affirmation, and all these things. So now when you see somebody driven as that, you may say, wow, I want to be driven and motivated like him. But look at the root. He was, because there's a poem that's called If a Child Learns. And the first line is, if a child lives with criticism, he learns to condemn. And it's a wonderful poem. I think it should be in every classroom, every home, every wherever you have children. So there's the part back here. I don't know much time, but it's
let's talk about the good stuff.
But the broken arrows too. But the good stuff, you know, one a day. It's just like pill, one a day, affirmation, reflective discussion. Well, not that. One a day. I love you with all my heart. I appreciate you very much. You are not a nuisance. You are not an interruption. Most kids feel like they're being an interruption. Nobody has time for them. Go and watch TV. Get out of my face. Children should be seen and not heard, and those silly things.
Yeah. So what you said here, sorry, I found the broken arrows part.
Oh, okay.
Many of our children are broken arrows that cannot fly straight because of how they were shaped in their parents' quiver. It is the parents' responsibility to prepare those arrows to hit the God-intended target when released into the future.
Wow, that's deep.
Yes.
It's true.
Yes.
It is.
And if we tell them we're dumb, if we tell them they're bad,
they're going to believe it.
If we tell them all of these things, some may fight against it, as you said, and become very driven. Exactly. But that's not all.
Exactly.
Because I do think sometimes parents are hard on kids because they want them to build that drive. But it's not always interpreted that way.
I also feel that because parents want, and this is definitely something that I think should be spoken about. Parents would say that they want the best for their child.
Yes, they always say that.
And especially in the educational system, and hold them at a certain expectation. And if they don't pass to another class, they actually ridicule them. How do you deal with a child, or how do you deal with parents to say, you know what, it is okay?
I have that right in here. Yeah. You're nothing but a failure, a big loser, dumb fool. My counteraction to that is, you can fail, but you're not a failure.
That's right.
You know, many people in the States have taken the bar exam several times, and then didn't make it the first time, the second time. You know, teachers' exam in the States. You know, a lot of teachers are scared to take the teachers' exam. You know, so go ahead.
It's the same thing when they do something wrong. You can have bad behavior, but you're not a bad person.
That does not define you.
Yeah. So where can people get your book? This is 40 pages of just a quick read. Maybe just reflect on it anytime you need a bit of reinforcement to be a better parent.
Well, I only brought 30 because I was testing the grounds and doing my things. And but if they go to JenniferWilliams.tv, JenniferWilliams.tv, that's my Facebook page, and it will take you to my publisher. It's also on Amazon.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Just type in dumb things on Amazon, that'll come up. But you know, everything is in US, so. But I am going back next week. I've been down here going on a month. I'm going to send down like 1,000, and my brother, he will be distributing it. Nice. And so I will connect again with people, because I do want to have it in every school, every whatever.
So let's close with chapter 7, with the things you can say to your child. Okay. We can start with, I love you with all my heart.
Yeah, I appreciate you very much.
You are not a nuisance. You are not an interruption.
Oh man, you have self-worth.
Yes.
You will achieve great things.
You're smarter than you think.
Love yourself.
Dream big.
Think highly of yourself, not more highly. I love that.
Yeah, my child, work hard.
Yes.
Wow.
Losing does not make you a loser.
Don't limit yourself.
Live passionately.
Love what you do.
Develop your talents.
And always stay focused. I love it.
There's so much more. We can go on and on and on. Don't waste your brain power. Oh, I love this. I will always support you.
Yes. And I think that's one of the biggest ones. Yes. I think so. I think as a parent, for me, you know, when I know that I've made mistakes, and this is just my personal opinion, when I know that I've made mistakes yesterday, when my child wake up in the morning, I try to hug. I try to show love because it is a brand new day.
Exactly.
Oh my God, I love picking him on, lad.
Yes. You know, this is a blessing.
Yeah,
we do appreciate you. We hope you send down more. We hope that parents get it, but also read it. And if they just try out some of these very short statements on their children, just one a day, so that you can start to reinforce them. I'm sure we can start to see the impact when positive words are used on children. Thank you, Jennifer.
Jennifer, thank you so very much.
Great.
My pleasure.
Wow.
Yeah. All right. And with that, we're going to go ahead and take a break. And when we come back, we'll have our wrap up. So stay tuned.
With over 100 years
We had an excellent morning. We had, we kicked things off with a wonderful conversation, or a conversation with the opposition leader, Honorable John Briceño, on the corruption scandals that's going on within the UDP administration, and of course their way forward in terms of trying or how they feel they could turn the country around to success. So we want to say a big thank you to for coming in.
Absolutely. You know, I think the opposition has a very critical role in the country, and we cannot underestimate it. And that is a part of the democracy that we do have. I appreciate that Honorable Briceño came in and answered the questions as to what they can offer. They are in a tough spot. There's very little you can do other than commit to what you can do if you are elected to office. But I do still maintain sometimes that some of the small actions that are taken now, between now and election, can help to have people really be convinced. You know, it's not necessarily their fault. We are where we are because these promises have been made in vain year after year, manifesto after manifesto. Every manifesto says no corruption, transparency, accountability, good governance, all of these
job
things.
creation.
And we are over 3 decades after independence, and we're not seeing anybody really take those commitments seriously. So I think that's what people are looking for, and we're in an election cycle, and we have every reason to continue to demand it.
Definitely.
And demand not just that it's written in a manifesto, put on a poster or T-shirt, but that it is actually done.
That's right. You know, and I think the onus of all this, the onus of the country being a good country, you know, lies, of course, on the people, because we need to hold our leaders accountable, whether UDP, whether PUP, whether NIP, it doesn't matter. We have to understand as a people that you or we are the masses, we're the bosses. They must adhere to what we say. You know,
I've always said, you know, people seem to see elected officials as the authority.
As the reigning king, yes, or queens.
We are their employers. Yes. We select them. They're our employees.
Yeah.
We've allowed the shift in power, and it's not right. We hire them. We elect them. We have to hold them accountable.
And you know, and I love that you mentioned that, because people feel that with all the negatives that's going on here with this party or that party, I'm not going out to go vote. Why am I going to waste my time? You become a part of the problem. You know, so you know, so you need to take into consideration that your vote counts. It doesn't matter what party that you're batting for, but at the same time, you need to go on out there and you need to cast your vote.
Yeah. Well, that's a conversation we can have closer to election itself, because there's a lot of history there, and I think if people understand the history of what it takes for a woman to be able to vote, for a person of color to be able to vote, for someone who perhaps doesn't own property to be able to vote, when you know that history, you'll perhaps see the significance of that X in whatever box you want as more important. But that we can talk about another day. We're going to talk about Jennifer Williams and this fantastic, I wouldn't even call it a book. This is just like a little must read that you should have. It's about the power of words. Here's the thing. This is not an indictment on parents. I do, in my heart of hearts, believe that parents, most parents, want what is best for their children. They don't necessarily know how. And they emulate what was done to them. But the problem is now we know better, and we know that the harsh words that we use sometimes have far deeper implications than many of the other things that you do. They may forget missing a meal, but they won't forget the things that you have said to them. So I think this is such a great book. Get a copy if you can. It's on Amazon. And start with just saying some of the positive things. Like, I care about what you think. Or, you know, develop your talents. I pray for you always. Get up when you fall. Just, you know, who doesn't?
Focused.
I want to hear that as an adult, you know. Imagine the implications it has on a kid.
You know, Marlene, I think it's a great way forward with this little book. You know, we have to understand that when we deal with our child, first of all, our child or the children, your children, they're not your property.
That's right.
You're basically leading them into, you know.
Khalil Gibran says they come through you, but they're not for you.
They're not for you. And so what you need to do to especially build your legacy with them is teach teach them the positive way. They're innocent. You know, so there are so many things that we have learned from Jennifer, so we want to say a big thank you, and of course a big thank you to you there at home, and for you who have streamed with us. If you've got any questions, any concerns for us, then you could always drop us a line. We're at oye@channel5belize.com.
You can also drop me a line at marlene_oye@channel5belize.com. Find us on Facebook at Open Your Eyes BZ and on Instagram at OYEBelize. And remember to tune in tomorrow morning at 6:30 when you open your eyes.
To start your morning right. I love saying that, by the way. As per usual, keep your eyes, your minds,
and your hearts open. We'll see you soon. Enjoy your day, Belize.
Open Your Eyes was brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.